Hello, good evening and welcome. Welcome to Rangers Radio. John, myself, Oxshire on the show tonight. It's a one and only bridge band, Southside and Jaffa. Evening, Jaffa.
How you doing, Ox? How's you, pal?
Good, mate. On a bit. It's better for hearing your dulcet tones. Evening, Southside.
Aye, good evening, Ox, and good evening to Jaffa and Bridgeman and everyone listening in this evening.
How are you, the legend?
Wonderful, thank you. Real good day today. Very happy. And can I just say, huge good evening to you three gentlemen, to all the Rangers fans all over the world, particularly Rangers fans on here, everybody listening in. Good evening and welcome to Rangers Radio.
I've got to say, lads, this might be the best looking panel we've ever had on, you know what I mean? Oh, that was a mirror, sorry. Jaffa, been a long couple of weeks football-wise, mate, eh?
It has been, Ox, aye. I mean, I've been on that Alibaba buying my job lot of football players like everybody else.
Job lot.
Southside, you've been enjoying the break?
Aye, mate. Claiming I was waiting to get back to see the Bears, you know. Another 8 days, innit? But aye, something to look forward to, I suppose, when it arrives, mate.
Mm-hmm.
It's a killer, isn't it? A killer.
And the weather, the games would have been playable by the weather, yeah?
Aye, some pitches maybe. Some no, obviously.
I don't think there have been very many problems. There would have been a few, but it wouldn't have been that many. I don't think it justified what they did, let's put it that way. I can't believe it.
No, when you look at the numbers of the UK, it's pretty much similar everywhere, so you've not gained anything for it as a community, but there we go. Don't get us started on that subject, Jaffa.
No, that's just, I was just reading that earlier myself, Ox. The clinical director of Scotland, or the UK, said that the numbers have been unaffected. There's nothing happened with the more liberal approach to football in England.
No.
I think that's a disgrace, by the way, what they've done up here. Absolute disgrace. Making us look really stupid. Not to be trusted, that's what it is. Not to be trusted.
That wasn't the reason, though.
Don't get me started. Right, okay. Look, we've got a wee treat. Oh, just before we go, a wee question for you two, the young team. What's the difference between Bridgeman and a coconut? Jaffa?
I'm not sure, Ox. I don't know.
Southside?
I'm not sure. Go. Let's tell us.
You can get a drink out of coconut. Sorry, Bridge.
Shocker. You're just a shocker, pal.
Sorry, Bridge.
How's the futures market today, Bridge?
What's that, buddy?
How's the futures market today?
Futures market.
How are you getting on with your Bitcoin, Bridge?
Bitcoin? They're above gone. No, the Bitcoin's above gone, pal. The value just fell apart. That's it. Can't do nothing about it.
Dear. Right, okay. We'll get an interview for the manager. But Southside, before we hear the interview for the manager, you've been doing some studying today on how the homegrown talent works for it's got to be in the squad, yeah? Try your best to explain it to everybody.
I had to be look because they kept going on about the homegrown talent, and I was wondering what the big clamour was to get all the sort of young boys back. And it seems to be, if you've been with your club and been trained by your club for 4 seasons or 4 years, as long as you're between 15 and the age of 21, you'll come under club trained. And if we say take a player, I'll just use Hearts as an example, Motherwell, anything like that. But if we take a player for there, Jake Hasty, actually, for instance, he was there, I think, 1 season, maybe 2 at a push. But for the age of 15 on to 21, mate, we've had him for 3 seasons. Motherwell had him for 1. So he can be classed either as a club-trained player possible because we've had him longer, or he becomes player by association. So it means that any other Scottish teams trained you for the 4 year, and if we take you as a player into our club, then we can use you by club by association, and you're allowed to use you must have a minimum of 4 club trained players in your squad of 25 for the Europa League. So that's basically how it sort of works.
Do you think the principle's sound?
I think it's quite a no bad idea if it works fairly across the board for everybody. Obviously, people maybe see loopholes in some things and they hang it, but I can see the benefits here. I'm trying to get sort of younger players, possibly at that age, into your squad. Reminds you a wee bit back to the 3-4 real idea, didn't it? I know it's not the same, but there's similarities in it. So that seems to be what that was about, mate. Club by association or club trained.
Right, okay. Jaffa, does that just mean that the big boys will pull in boys from around the world earlier?
Well, that makes sense. That's probably where Billy Gilmore and players of that ilk, you see, obviously, these Man City academies pulling in players, as you say, Ox. That fundamentally must be one of the reasons that they're using it, as Southside said, using it as a loophole. But obviously, in our case, we obviously sold Patterson, so he would have been part of that four. And I hear today, I think, is it the young lad Maxwell they're talking about giving a new contract to?
Aye. Just one of the boys for the reserves has went to Chris McKee, young Northern Ireland player. He's been back to Linfield on loan, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be that when you put on loan, it was seen as a bad thing. It's not necessarily now, is it? Yeah.
No, not at all, Ox. No, these young lads are getting brilliant experience, Ox, and that's what they've got to do. At that age, they've got to go and play proper football. And obviously, the fact that we don't have... I mean, I know we've got this B... We've got the B set up, but I mean, in your days when we grew up, you always had the reserve team, didn't you? And I mean, there's some debate about that, whether the reserve league should come back, but some clubs can't afford to run it. I think that's the problem. That was why it collapsed in the first place, obviously.
Bridgman, obviously, it's quite complicated, the old homegrown talent, if you like. Are you for or against?
Well, once it's, I know that Southside managed to explain quite a bit there, but I think it would take a wee while for it to get into people's minds as to how it works, so they can see whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. But I think it'll work out okay, to be perfectly honest, for us, because we've got people from a whole variety of places, and there will be limitations on how we do it, and it gives you a good guide of what you're going to do. So I think so. If you're only allowed 10 players from the continent, just for saying, and you've got 15, then what are you going to do? You've got to cut your cloth accordingly. It might take 2 or 3 seasons to get it down to these levels. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'm quite keen. Yeah, I want to see these things as long as it's going forward and it takes the clubs along with it, particularly our club, and we get something out of it. That's what I want.
Mm-hmm. We'll see what it takes. As Southside, it'll be interesting. It develops as if you like, our youth programme develops to the next level. Yeah, hopefully it will, and we start getting a conveyor belt, mate.
You think most of your homegrown players in your youth academy would be Scottish, so that sort of takes that. But if you maybe bring a foreigner over and he's young and we develop him for the 3-4 year, then he becomes a homegrown player by into your club. So it could work for you if you can get some talent maybe in a bit early and eventually break into your first team. But it's about getting the talent that's in your youth team into the first team, mate. That's what we look for, or we hope to see develop. But like I said, we had the discussion regarding Nathan Patterson and how hard it is sometimes to get into your first team. And because it's a massive season with the Champions League and that. So hopefully we'll get another few young boys, mate, eventually into the first team, whether it's a Leon King or anybody else that's been mentioned, and the ones that have extended their contracts to hopeful in time, mate, that they'll make the step up. But it's about getting them out on loan to clubs that will play them and try and develop them for us if there's no a pathway, because I think the Lowland League squad, I think a lot of them might have to go out and play in the Championship or something and take a step up eventually and try and see how they go on and how they're developing for there.
There's a stat for Mr. Fox. 97% of players who play youth football never play first team football, Jaffa. Wow.
Oof. That's staggering. That is pretty. I wouldn't have guessed it had been that high. I would have thought the numbers would have been a bit lower than that, Ox. But that just that just shows you how difficult it is, not just at our club, but at every club, to get into the first team and break through as a young footballer. Challenging, really difficult, really difficult, as we all know.
Yeah. Right, I'm going to tell you what we're going to do now. We're going to hear from the manager, if that's all right for you three guys, and then we'll open the phone lines, yeah?
Go for it.
Yep.
Sounds good.
Let's hear from our manager, Giovanni van Bronckhorst.
So the winter break, it came earlier than everyone expected. How have you been able to use the time off and now the time on the training pitch to your advantage ahead of the rest of the season?
Well, the advantage is, I mean, the winter break was already happening. Of course, it was a bit earlier than we expected, but it gives us the chance to be with our families, to rest, and to charge the battery for the second half of the season. So we're now already almost a week back in training. So we're doing well on the training ground to get going again and to prepare ourselves for the first game, the 18th against Aberdeen.
Lots of business being done in the transfer window across Scottish football and not least here at Rangers with the addition of James Sands. What does he add to your squad?
Well, I think James can give a lot to the squad. He's he's a young talent. Very good to have him here because he's very versatile. He can play in defense, he can play on midfield, and we just going to use him. For the next coming 18 months. I think he will be a great addition to the squad, and so we are all happy to develop him even further and to make him a better player.
When you look at the business that's being done in January everywhere, do you look elsewhere at what other clubs are doing, or is your focus only what Rangers can do?
Well, my focus is on Rangers. Of course, you read reports about all the other teams in the league and their business. That's normal, but the focus is there on my team. I'm quite happy with the squad we have now, and also have confidence in the squad. Where there is possibilities to add some players, we will definitely. And of course, Nathan going to Everton, which is very good move for him. He was very happy with the move. Of course, to get the chance to play in Premier League at his age is quite fantastic, really. So we were more than happy that we could have let him go to Everton, and he's going to make a next step in his career. And of course, for the club, financially was a good deal. So I think was very positive for both.
With Nathan going to Everton, Leon King signing a new deal, becoming a full part of the first team as well, does that really show the pathway can be there for the academy players to become first team players?
Yeah, that's what we want. We want the pathway also for our talents to, once they're from the academy to take a step to the first team. I think that's very important for the club, and so it's really good for Leon to come to the first team now. He's been around for a couple of years, but now he's with us with the first team, and of course they also look the young players to Nathan, because he was only was not long that he was with the first team, but still, his talent is recognized by a big club in England, and that's why he's playing for Everton now. So I think that pathway for the youth players is there for them to take.
For the academy players, you've included a number in your training sessions over the time that you've been here so far. Have you been impressed with what you've seen and impressed generally with the standard of the academy here at the club? Yeah,
I think it's important. I'm always also with my former clubs, I like to get the talents involved in first team training. So every time we have a chance to bring some talents to the first team for training, I will, and so it gives me a good view of the talents we have at the moment, and for them, of course, an opportunity to train at a higher level. And you always recognize the talent. So I'm very happy and pleased with the talents coming in the first team training once in a while.
I think the word that we used quite a lot in the last month was hectic, in terms of how many games there's been, the settling in period. You brought your new staff with you, but there's so many staff who've remained in place. How helpful has it been to have that base already here and who already know the club and how it operates?
Well, very helpful, of course, because they know the team better than I did when I came. And I think it's important for me as well, of course, to bring some staff members who I know well and who are used working with me. But so far, I think the staff who was already here, I think we gelled really well. So and it's the case of getting to know each other, which is normal. But you can see the quality the staff members who are already here have. So for me, that's very good to have a good mix.
And likewise, you must be very pleased with the buy-in that you've had from every member of the first team, and also the atmosphere around the place. It seems to be a very happy place at the moment.
Yeah, of course. I think it's a happy place, but I think we have to combine that in working hard, which we all did since the moment I came in. Everyone, not only the staff members, also the players. We all have one goal, is to be successful for this club, and everyone is putting their energy in and their qualities. So I'm really happy with that. Of course, the results has been really good lately, so that helps also. But I think overall we are doing all the work to be prepared for the games, and that begins when the game is over, and it then starts the preparations for the new game. And we've been since I came in, it was quite a hectic schedule, with all the games we had to play 2 times a week for many weeks, and we have the same schedule coming up. But I think we are preparing well for that period, and we have to be ready with all the games we have to play.
It's been 20 years since you left here as a player. What's maybe different from when you left here as a player? Is there anything that you've come back in and found and thought it's very much still the same? It's still the same Rangers I left those years ago?
Well, the club, still the fans are the same. The club is the same. I think what really changed a lot is all the facilities we have now. If I compare the facilities when I was here as a player, not only the training ground but also the stadium, and then the locker room, everything we need to prepare for games is at a much higher level than than when I was here. So you could see the development the club has made, but in the end, it's still Rangers.
And re-engaging with the Rangers supporters as well. We've seen many fans posting pictures on social media having met you out and about in the city. How has that been for you, re-engaging and meeting the fans once again?
Well, it's part of your job. It's also, I think, a thing I really enjoyed as a player, but also as a manager, to have the same connection with the fans, because they're so important for the club. And I think you have to recognize always and to appreciate the love the fans have for the club. In supporting us with at home games, away games, supporting us throughout the whole season, which is very important for us. So I'm really happy with our fans, and hopefully we can give them something to celebrate in the end of the season.
Why don't you give us a call on 0141 356 1972? It's your show, it's your platform. Let's hear from you.
Some interesting stuff there, but basically I think he's settled in quite well. Would that be fair, Southside?
Aye, Ox, he does. He sounded quite comfortable in the interview and talked well. He explained it since he came in, the hectic schedule and everything. Aye, he seems to have settled in around the city as well. He's been here before, many years ago, but aye, I'm sure he's enjoying it, mate.
Aye, seems quite a humble guy, Jaffa. That's the impressions I get, yeah?
He does, Ox, yeah. He seems, in life has treated him well, and I think he's got a great demeanour, Ox, the way he speaks, the way he chats, and his approach to things is it seems to me, very simplistic, and I think the players are maybe understanding messages a lot better, Ox. Is that a fair thing to say on the park? Maybe just keep it a wee bit more simple.
Kiss, keep it simple, stupid. Is that what you're saying?
Pretty much, aye.
The old adage.
It's true though, eh?
Oh, absolutely.
It's a fair comment, Bridge, isn't
it? Some of the boys, when they heard it, they said, "Who you calling stupid?" Not to me, like, whoever it was saying it.
But it's true. Sometimes your message can be lost outside if it's too complicated. Yeah.
Aye, and I think we've went a bit more direct, a bit quicker. I think that's another dimension that I think he's more forward thinking instead of across the park all the time at times. So I think he's got that message into the players. So aye, sometimes just a different voice, like we'd said before, and it's something slightly different. But the methods will be probably similar as in training and stuff. But we've been more direct, and the players seem to be buying into his ideas, and nobody seems to be too unhappy. It's just a case of contract time because we're in January, we sometimes get a bit worried. But apart from that, everything seems to be fine, mate. And I think they're looking forward to getting ready to get started back against Aberdeen. Your
first impressions, Bridge, of the manager?
Excellent. Yeah, and he's a no panic merchant. He's not one of these guys who just panics and causes ructions in the squad and things like that. Just like you said, they're very simple, really, really relaxed and enjoying himself. That's what it sounds like to me. And he's hoping that the team will be the same as him. So he's not going to be getting onto them and certainly in public anyway. He's going to be saying, right, this is what we're going to do. And then it's up to them to respond. And they have responded. I think, we've got 18 games. Is it 18 games we've got to go?
Yeah, wow. In the league, yeah.
Just wow, And Bridgeman's on countdown. That's the truth. I'm on countdown. And I don't care about any other competition right at this moment. It's the next league game coming up. That's the one that matters to me. And it's a biggie. So I'm looking forward to it. And it's wonderful listening to the manager. He's just lifted me up, I'll tell you that. Just lifted me up with this. Brilliant.
I think that's a fair comment, Jeff. A countdown. That's what happens. And, the game start. It gets exciting, doesn't it, as the game start.
We're in the back straight now, aren't we, Ox?
Aye, we've turned for home, mate.
We've turned for home, and we're in a great place. The squad's looking great. We know we need a couple of additions. It'd still be good to see, a champion alongside Southside, who's been saying it since the start of the season. A couple of more at the back, maybe a centre back in would be good to see if what's going to happen in that position. Apart from that, I think the squad's in a really good place. So we've been getting great results. Lost 2 goals in the last was it 9 or 10, Ox? Brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if he gives us another 10 games like that, I'll be delighted.
Yeah. Breaking news, lads. Some team in Glasgow are trying to get some fixtures moved to the Queen's Jubilee this year, yeah. So that'll be carrying on in June. I don't know which team, but I'll try and see if I can find out, yeah.
You do get a laugh, don't you? You do get a laugh. Unbelievable.
There's maybe a true word said in jest, but it's a farce, isn't it, Bridge? It's a farce.
Yeah, well, certainly. If you just listen to, if you hear the comments that are going about football, and the wee one-liners like yourself there, there's millions of them, and it's they're telling the truth about them. They're telling the truth about them. It's unbelievable, just unbelievable.
Yeah. Right. Okay. All right. Good to hear from Giovanni, and it really does seem as if he's enjoying it Southside. That.
I think it was good that he touched on some of the youth boys that he thinks we've got in the academy, mate. And it looks like he's obviously promoted one forward, the boy King. So it's like you said, it's good for the other boys that are there that have maybe been there or thereabouts. We've got a few in loan. I think the boy Maxwell's out in loan. James Maxwell, I think it is, isn't it? I think he's at Ayr United. And obviously Lewis Mayo had been talked about and had a wee bit of first team experience, and he's at Partick Thistle. So there's probably Josh McPakes, obviously, as we know, is coming back in. He's out at Morecambe, sorry. He went out to Morecambe. I see it's Jack Casey we're bringing back in, and obviously Glenn Middleton's another one whose contract's up in 2023, but he's at St Johnstone, so he's still a player as well at Sutton loan. So whether we look to sell him or else bring him back or whatever, I don't know, up to the manager. But so players, obviously, he's a wee bit more further forward than maybe a Lewis Mayo or a James Maxwell or that, but he was still sort of broken through, and he was in with Gerrard when he first broke into the team. Just that after Kent came in, he's been farmed out in loan. So it's players like that we'll need to make decisions on, and we'll need to see if we're going to break into the first team or not.
Is it a shake hands job, Jaffa?
Probably, yes. I would think so. I think I don't see how that situation's going to get any different for Glenn Middleton, to be honest with you. I think he's had some opportunities, hasn't he, to get into the team, and it's just never really worked out for him. Not all down to the lad himself. He's a good player. I did have high hopes for him. It's all about luck nowadays. So much it's about luck, isn't it, Moggs?
He's not the worst player I've ever had, but I just don't think he takes us to the next level, if I'm being fair, Jeff. Yeah.
No, he's not what Randy, and even taking it further to you're listening to Giovanni there in the interview. It's great to hear he's cast his eye over the youth system, and I think that was one of the questions he was asked there, what his thoughts were on it. And my word, he and I watched the interview with him as well on Rangers TV earlier today. He seems delighted with it. He says there's some great prospects there, and he's obviously, as we said, he's promoted one through already. So with his background and his knowledge of football, and I think we would all agree his pedigree coming for the Dutch system, that's a great compliment, I would say.
Here. As once we get this week out the way, Bridgeman, it's going to be an exciting few weeks, mate.
I think it's starting now for a lot of Rangers fans. The wee bit build-ups now, just over a week, isn't it? Next Tuesday, 17th, something like that. We're going to be playing. It's just great. It's great, Please let it happen. Is it Monday or Tuesday next week we play?
8 sleeps, you've got Bridge. 8 sleeps.
8 sleeps. Wow, that's good. I'll need them.
And I reckon 24 naps, maybe.
24 naps, aye. And that's not counting the horses. No, I think like every Rangers fan, to be honest, we're being sort of Rangers deprivation. It's just been dreadful. And the only stories that you're hearing on the news, if you're watching the Scottish news, you're not hearing very many Rangers stories, but you're hearing about a lot of some other teams. And it's just not right, So we're desperately keen to get back watching our team and get back to Ibrox to see them. That's what I want, back to Ibrox. Although, obviously, I know Aberdeen game's away,
But the game a week on Friday, yeah?
Well, absolutely, but absolutely.
Up time.
Yes, I'm into that.
There's still no announcement for the SSNP, yeah? So we'll not hear for him what's happening next week yet, Southside.
Nah, I think there'll probably be a speech, probably Friday or something, or around about then Thursday or whatever. So we'll have to come up and tell us what's happening anyway. But I could go anyway, mate. If she gets her right, she'd probably keep it short if she could. But we'll see. Hopefully we'll get back into Ibrox for the home game anyway, because that's what matters most. And it's a cup game, so it's somewhere where we're looking to try and win a cup this season along with the league. So it's another target. Get Aberdeen out the road to beat them on the Tuesday night at Pittodrie, and then we can focus on still in Albion, and maybe even give a couple of fringe men or younger players a wee chance in the squad and a wee bit of game time.
Aye, I'd be interested. I know it's still in Albion and I'll be playing for Jaffa, yeah.
They're coming for the money, aren't they?
Aye.
Coming for the money.
But aye, come and join us. Come and speak to the boys and see where it takes us tonight. It's your show. What's the number, Bridge?
The number's 0141 356 1972. Come and join us.
Come and join us. Give your thoughts. Ask the boys anything. Southside, he's DIY. Jaffa will take affair of the hearts. And Bridge will cover finance tonight.
What a shocker.
Lonely Hearts.
Lonely Hearts.
Especially for you.
Off corner with what you get in and put a shelf up for him.
Aye. No got a shelf under his telly. Size of his telly. Man, no chance of that.
Whose telly are you talking about?
Your telly.
Oh, no, mine. No.
Size of the brackets. How many brackets have you got up to hold that telly on the wall, Bridge?
8 brackets for that telly, mate. 8 brackets.
Don't listen to him, by the way, Southside. That man's nasty. He's a shocker.
Did you screw it right into the lintel, Bridge?
96-inch telly. I nearly fainted.
When he moved into the house, he had to get an RSJ put in that room.
Drop it
in. Excuse me.
2 things. One, he put up his wallet. Another one, he put the telly on.
Superb, guys. Superb. You got to laugh.
Oh, dear. Aye, we'll see what it takes us. But we're getting near an exciting part of the season. Southside, historically, Pittodrie, it's always been a tough game, isn't it?
Aye, definitely, mate. It's bad enough it's their 4 games a season when they play us, raise your game. But Aberdeen is a hard place to go to. It depends on how hard you make it, but it's a physical game up there. There's always been red cards in the past as well. But historically, we've done quite well lately as well. But it's going to be a midweek fixture. Don't know what it'll be like. Could be the weather as well. It could be pouring a rain, a howling wind, which will no help conditions up there. But it's a game that we've got to be up for, mate. So the first game back after the break, and we've got to come out firing. But they'll certainly be up for it as normal, Aberdeen. But it's about us and just getting in about them, mate. And hopefully we'll be playing the sort of type of football that we finish playing there before the break, and that'll be good enough to get us a result.
I know stats can mean anything, Jaffa, but if we beat Aberdeen, well, that says after 21 games we'll get double their points.
Wow. Yeah, they've been a disappointment this season, in all honesty. Aberdeen, they especially considering all the players that they brought in at the start of the season. So, yeah, but let's hope it's even more disappointment for them next Tuesday night, just to add to their woes. As long as we're up for the Ox and our guys, the 11 boys and the 4 or 5 subs, whoever's on the bench are right into it, and have got the sleeve rolled up, and we're up for the game, and we're up for the battle. Win the battles, we win the game, because we've got the quality and we've got the best players in the country by a stretch. So if Ryan Kent's on his game, we'll do all right, and Alfie's on his game, we'll do all right, and we keep the boy out at the back. That's all that matters.
No Joe Aribo, but we just need to deal with it unless we can get the fixture moved to the 12th of July, Bridge.
Imagine if we tried to get that done. Unbelievable. You would cause a riot, by a major riot. The Rangers doing that again. Shocking, nah.
It's a big game, but Bridge.
The Aberdeen game is the biggest game of the season. Biggest game of the season, without a shadow of a doubt. And we need to be as big as the game and get in there and get up for it. That's what we need to do. As a club and as a team, we have to do it. And obviously, I don't know if the crowds are going to be up. But that's the one game where I don't mind if it's 500, if you follow what I mean. Simply because it's Aberdeen. But for the guys that travel, obviously we want a full allowance to let the guys get in and see the game. But, what can we say? Big game. Huge game. Biggest game.
This is from a Mr. S. Skipper, Southside. He says he was up and visiting Bridgeman in his new telly, and when the adverts come on, there was staff come out selling chalk cases and
brilliant.
Welcome to Sydney World.
Superb, absolutely superb.
They weren't getting them out for free, that's for sure.
Oh, I'm sure. Shockers, by the way, just shockers.
Oh dear, Mrs. Bridge selling the Kiora and the chalk cases.
The Kiora, that's a brilliant. Remember that one? Yeah,
it was horrible, it was rubbish, wasn't it?
I can't remember the adverts, but the rubbish was stuff right enough.
Oh, it was rubbish. And you bought it, but that was the trouble.
I thought I was there, I thought I was. The only thing came out good in the cinema was the butter kiss. I quite like the butter kiss. Or, what do you call them? Chalk ices. I like them. I like the chalk ices.
Right, okay, aye. Right, okay. Arebo's not playing next week. Just about, I know it's about a long time out Southside. Have you thought what on a day? What would you do?
I think he'll stick the way he's done. I think Hadji will probably come in and play. You could go for a team that will compete first, win the battle, but we've got to look at it. If we just play our flair players, we're going to win the game, mate. So I think it's time Hadji stepped up. I know you've been pretty critical at times, and sometimes he has been due a wee bit of criticism. So I'm hoping that if he goes into the number 10 role and we play a 4-2-3-1 or whatever he decides to play, might play a 4-1-4-1, I don't know. We'll wait and see, but I think it'll be a 4-2-3-1. You're looking for him to create, mate. With Joe Arebo being at the team, obviously you're looking for Kent to create. He's another creative player. And obviously who he plays on the right, whether it's if he plays Scott right, then you're looking for him to go and create. So I think it's Hadji, mate, for me, that's going to come in and play that role.
Jaffa?
Yeah, same. Ox, that's what I was thinking. Straight swap for Arebo and Hadji. Possibly Arfield, but I think he'll go Hadji. He might push Arfield one forward, but seems to have found a position for Arfield in recent weeks. The team looked quite settled in that formation, and he seems to have liked that sort of, as Southside was saying, a 4-2-3-1, where he's got a bit more protection in the middle of the park. So I don't know. He's also got the new fella. He's got the American lad. I don't know if he would potentially throw him in.
Can't see it, but only time will tell. You know, Bridgeman, just to let you know, Big Stevie says, just give him a nod and he'll bring his popcorn machine down to your house, mate.
I love it. Just brilliant.
Carry on, mate.
I was going to say it. I think Hadji sounds as if he's going to get a good run while Arebo's not there. So the first job, if he's going to play him, he's got to stand out against Aberdeen. He's just got to do it. No matter what happens, he's got to do it. I just can't imagine him not playing well. I just can't imagine us not playing well. Let's put it that way. I consider we're all desperate to see our team, you know, and where expectations are quite high. Realism will step in right enough after 5 minutes. We'll wonder what's going on, you know. Yeah, let's hope Hadji does. Whomever he brings in, let's hope he can, because that's big boots to fill, that, isn't it? He was a tremendous player for us, absolutely tremendous.
I just have to deal with it, you know. They don't try and get the game moved, Jaffa, you know what I mean?
No, well, let's say, as you say, you know, we'll not be shifting anything about changing the rules to suit where, you know, when you want to play things and what time you want kickoffs, and if you've got a couple of players out, let's just go on, mate. Get back to the football, and we've got more than enough in more squad ops to deal with that. We should have, definitely.
I agree. It's all about attitude. And come back with the right mentality, Southside, innit?
Aye, mate. I mean, if Balogun's no fit, then obviously you're sticking to the defence that's been playing if they're all fit and available, and McGregor is your goalkeeper. So we've been playing with that for long enough, and the boys are doing quite well, and we're keeping it 0. And when you just get into midfield, you'll pick who's sort of... you'll pick the tried and tested for him to know. I don't think there'll be any surprises. The boy Sands possibly make the bench. I don't think he'll start. I don't think it's a game you throw him into. So you'll go with the squad that's been playing up until the break. They players, and we're just going up there, mate, to compete, win, because they'll just punt the ball high, look for set pieces against us and stuff. So we know what we're going up to face at Aberdeen. It'll just depend on the night, and the weather could play a wee part in that sort of game up there at that time. But apart from that, we're looking, like Jaffa says, we've got the best football players in the country, and we just keep the ball on the deck, go up there with the right attitude, and just take our chances when they come. And if we score a goal or two early, the game's over for me.
Yeah. We've been joined by Jimmy. Evening, Jimmy.
Hello, boys. Evening, all. How are you doing?
No, Jimmy.
Fine. I've turned the wireless half a night, so I'm all right. Don't
Top
get
man.
caught half a night.
Jimmy, top man.
Aye, I turned it off. And how are you, lads? All right?
All the better for hearing your dulcet tones, mate.
Oh, that's lovely. Thank you very much. The wife says that once a week. Well, it used to be twice, but I've got it back. Anyway, that's another story. That's another story. I was doing a wee thing with the Rangers news today about that women's team yesterday, 15-1 or something,
Mm-hmm.
You said, what do you think about that ladies' team?
What do I think about it?
What do you think about the Rangers women's team?
I think it's part of the fabric of all big clubs and all clubs at all levels of football. I think it's a growing sport. I think it's a different game. It's got a long way to go, but I think their focus and their determination is to get there. Jaffa?
Yeah, I like Ox, Jimmy. I think it's a club our stature and our size. I think having a ladies' team and a women's structure within our formation is a great thing for gender, for keeping things equal and bringing all these equalities into life. It's not men's football, Jimmy. It's nowhere near men's football. It's not the kind of men's football that we're all being brought up on, and I don't think the women's team would ask you to saying that they want to be that either. I mean, I've been to a couple of women's games with one of my daughters actually over the years, and it's good fun. It's all right. It's got a long way to catch up with the men's game, but I think Rangers are making a right good go of it. I think some of the sponsorship they've brought in is brilliant. It's well funded, and obviously, as I said, it's just part of the modern day football structure, Jimmy. It's here to stay, that's for sure.
Aye, but you look at some of these scores and go, my God. That's what schoolboys are.
Wasn't it, they were playing?
Aye.
It was a cup tie, wasn't it?
Aye. Well, I've seen a couple of women's games, and okay, it doesn't lack endeavour, but I feel sorry sometimes for Big Malky. He's done there giving interviews on it, and he's coming up with all the usual cliches, we're doing well, we're working as a team, we're doing a bit of this and a bit of that. But to me, I think the guy's a bit embarrassed at times, that? Maybe it's just me.
Aye, well, listen, we accept it's no everybody's cup of tea at the moment. But when we've had the girls on here, Bridgeband have been first class, haven't they?
There's every single one of them been brilliant. They've been absolutely superb. Really, truly.
I used to love the
good.
Sorry, I used to love the South Side and Billy Simpson. Mind Billy Simpson, all Rangers centre forward. Mind him.
Well, my great granda used to tell me about him, but carry on.
William Simpson to you.
Well, his granddaughter was a great player. She was very, very good. I don't know what happened to that last time, but she was a good player,
Mm-hmm.
Used to watch her regularly. She was very good. I don't know if she ended up playing professional, just chucked it,
It's a relatively new thing in this country, the professional game,
Aye. I'm talking a good while ago now. I'm talking about over 20 years ago now,
Yeah. Southside, what's your view of the modern woman taking up sport?
All I'll say is I've watched the ladies, the Rangers ladies. See, to be honest, Jimmy, we've seen they've come on the show and they've talked passionate. It's something that they've wanted to do, something that they want to strive to be better at. They're happy to be at Rangers. Some of them done a scholarship in America and that before they come over here and stuff. Sometimes I look at the way you're sort of watching, if you're watching Sky Sports and BT and that now, and they're flinging some of the women in now, obviously today, some of the punditry and that, you know, some of them are all right, and some of them, you've heard them talk, and you think, but you talk about it, and even some of the guys look at them and think, but what you just said there. But it's something that it's getting integrated into TV and all that now, mate. Everybody's equal and all that, which it should be, but it's changing. But the women's game, mate, it's been growing and growing. It's something that Rangers hadn't get into for a long time. A lot of English clubs had done it and that, and it was quite big in America. So, some of the ladies, obviously, that we've signed and have brought into the club, they obviously want to be here and they're doing quite well. So it's something that it's just happening in the world, mate, and it's going to be something that we can look forward to and see how they progress, the same as we do the Colts teams and the young team and the famous Glasgow Rangers.
I think it will develop, Jimmy. I think you'll see in a generation, you'll see a change in it. But what I will say is, if you've got a lassie who's sports mad and it gives her a pathway to get into sport, I think it can only be a good thing, you know.
Oh, aye. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just talking about the present day standards in Scotland. But no, England seems a lot higher than Scotland at the moment. But as you say, there's a lot of foreign lassies coming in now, you know, and they're bringing more professionalism, shall we call it, into the game. But I was watching the Rangers play a couple of young lassies, 16-year-olds, some of them, you know, and some of them not bad, you know, they're coming on. It'll take time, I suppose,
There you go. I think there is a lot of mismatches, even in the top flight, Jeff, isn't it?
Aye, the league, Jimmy, you know, the WPL, the Women's Premier League, you know, there's 3 teams. There's Glasgow City, ourselves, and that other lot. And then the teams kind of below it, there seems to be a bit of a gulf. Probably because of investment and stuff, Jimmy, with the deepest of respect to clubs like Hamilton Accies and, you know, I'm trying to think who else has got a team in it. You know, I think Hearts have got a team in it, Hibs have got a team in it. Hibs are not too bad, to be honest with you, but there is a bit of golf. I mean, I know Motherwell have the Rangers ladies team, the Rangers women have given them a scalping a couple of times. And it's always good. I mean, even for the men's team, I love giving Motherwell a scalping personally, but that's just my own take on it. But there's a bit of golf in the WPL, so it'd be good to see a lot more sponsors getting involved in it, Jimmy. And I think once we see that, I think, as you say, they maybe get a TV deal and start, you know, Sky maybe getting involved in it. I know down in England, some of the Women's Premier League fixtures are, I mean, the money that's involved even in that is colossal. And then when you go abroad to the States and stuff, I think it could be argued that the women's American football, the women's side of it, is as popular, if not more popular, than what the men's football is.
Well, it could be true, aye.
A while ago for us, but it's good. I think it's good. I think it's good at our club to have that involvement and have the women there.
We'll see what it takes us, and I just think when you go to the games now, there's a lot more young girls there, and a lot more women there in general, Southside. So you get a young lass and she's into sport and she wants to play football. She's still got that dream that the young boy. Got to be a positive to that.
Aye, and if your girl's got a passion for the football, mate, and you've got a chance to go along, so it's like taking them to any sport, and if you take them to the men's game, so you would probably take them along to the women's because she'd want to go along and see it and that, and hopefully in time she'd want to be part of it, and that's what it's about. But it's growing, as Jaffa said, Jimmy, and that, and some of the lassies in the Rangers team look no bad technically, and that. There's a couple I've seen playing for our teams. I thought at first I was watching rugby, but apart from that, it's a developing sport, mate, and it's something Rangers have got involved in. And if Jaffa said, if they get some sponsorship or a TV type deal like they've got in England, or anything like that. Better exposure, and some of them get a chance they can even move on in time and make a better career. I think the lassie Julie Fleeton at one point went across to America. There was a lassie who played for Doncaster Bells many years back. Can't remember her name. She was a striker. She moved on and went to America and furthered her career because it's big over there. So, but the lassies that have joined Rangers, mate, we're hoping that they want to develop and play for us for a few years and get success, mate. That's what we look for.
Fleeton's man, he was a bit of a player, wasn't he?
Jim Fleeton. Jim Fleeton.
The man that he was with. I can't mind now.
Was he commander?
When I was young and used to go to the games, there was very few women there or lassies there at all, you know. Mm-hmm. But now you look at the crowd and the stand, there's a hell of a lot going to the games now, you know.
It must be just where I go, because everywhere I go, there's always loads of women running about me, you know.
Aye. Usually I say, I want to see the black turn away.
What a shocker.
Anyway, get back to the
you failed to tell you was in polo there, Jimmy.
No, get back to the main team again. I was watching that game yesterday, Nottingham Forest game, and I see a wee bit in the paper that Rangers were interested in the big, Pierce to call him, big left back. Can't mind his name, big boy. My God, he's fast, you know. I just hope it's true. I hope the wee story's true that Rangers are interested in him. Did you see the game anyway, you know?
I actually seen the first half, that's all I've seen, yeah.
Well, he was a big boy. Everybody was trying to outrun him. That Martinelli, Kearney, they couldn't beat him. He was like lightning. He was taking the ball off him as if they weren't there and knocking him out the road. Phillips, I think his name. I'm trying to think of his name, oh God. He looked a good prospect, you know. He's not a young guy, too. I think he's the parent club's Middlesbrough.
Right, okay. Depends how his contract is. Such as having a good game yesterday will no help his Southside.
I know who he's talking about. I can't remember the boy's name. I see bits and bobs, you know, and he looked as if he had a good game. This bit, right. Like you say, it's one good game that we've noticed. But to be honest, Jimmy, we've got to, at some point in time, look to our academy, you know, and try and get some boys through. It's what we strive for, you know. So hopefully in time, after next season, we'll manage to get at least one or two potentially over the next 2 to 3 years into the first team.
I've seen a young boy, Devine, and to be quite honest with you, he looks a cracking prospect as well. The young right back, Devine, his name is. He looks a very good prospect, you know. I've seen him a few times. And he may just be a wee step up with Patterson, even if he keeps going the way he's going the boy. He's doing very, very well at the moment. So maybe it was the plan to get rid of Patterson, bring that boy on and all. He's a young boy too, you know. Get 16 million for him, then move on again, eh?
I'm just looking for Spence. Was it Spence the left back?
Spence, that was the boy's name. That's right. He was very, very good.
I thought the Spences were all goalkeepers, but that's a blast for the past. Right, okay. That's the only time we'll tell. We've been linked with so many players, Jaffer,
Oxford, every time you open something up on social media or whatever, there's another new guy, linked. I think the other day that I saw somebody from a striker from Sharif was linked with us. I think the reality is I don't think anybody knows anything, quite frankly. There's a lot of people that say they're in the know and they're getting wee snippets. I think that does happen. But I think it happens after there's some concrete stuff there, or the deal's nearly done, or if it's already been over the line and it's getting leaked for obvious reasons. But I think in general, Rangers business has been kept behind closed doors in exactly the way it should be. But the papers are simply speculating. Is there even a newspaper left? I'm not even sure if there is. I don't buy them, so I don't even know if that's a thing anymore.
I'll pass you over in the media department, Bridgeman.
There used to be a wee thing that published once a month or something like that, given the what do you call it, the sales and things like that, the record and other popular papers. My goodness gracious, I know I've gone down the drain since the last time I saw it was maybe over a year ago. But it used to be, daily record, you can imagine, millions a day they were selling. And they're lucky if they're getting 100,000 now. I don't know, maybe some of the boys in the club will be able to tell us that, Jesus, it's nothing like it was, you know. They're a poor set of media, and every single member in the media in Scotland should be hanging their head in shame what they've done to it and let it happen. Just watched everything happening and said nothing. I hope they all fall apart. That's what I do. Just hope they all fall apart.
Yeah, people are very selective in what they read in the South Side, eh?
Aye, it's no right back, but it's back in the day when people were going to work and stuff, and everybody sort of jumped into the paper shop and bought their bottle of juice and a paper and whatever, their fags or a packet of chewing gum or whatever, and they went to work, you know. A lot of times you went into canteens and that, it was always different papers, people wanted to read them, but things have moved on, and a lot of people know, obviously, you can go on the internet and you're getting your news, instant, and it breaks straight away, you can catch it, you know. That seems to be the difference.
That takes you back second year, Jaffa, 20 fags and a bottle of juice,
A quarter of cola cubes.
Chewy green apples, remember them?
Oh, I hated them too.
Oh no, I liked them, mate, honestly. Apart from the colour, you know.
Draw your boys together, I saw your joys together.
You even made a pineapple chunks, man, Bridgeman, wouldn't you?
Try to eat a Texan bar. That was an effort.
We never saw those cola cubes at all. We never.
Them B bars were the best.
Them B bars, cheapest and the best. 10 Bollywood buying an MB bar. Brilliant. There's a black for the pass as well.
10 pence bag of strawberry bonbons.
Bonbons.
Oh, I like them.
Rhubarb and custard.
Oh, I love that stuff, by the way. Absolutely loved it.
Monte Cristo.
Oh dear, takes us back, doesn't it? Takes us back. Right, we're going to have a tune.
Back a long time,
get yourself some mute. We're going to have a tune.
Every Saturday we follow, we cheer the boys in blue, the most successful team in football. We're Scotland's gallant few, though at times they have been hard. We've followed near and far. You will always hear us roaring from the stands in Ibrox Park. to cheer the boys in blue. The most successful team in football was Scotland's gallant few, who times they have been hard, who followed near and far. You will always hear us roaring from the stands at Ibrox Park. Whoa.
Why don't you give us a call on 0141 356 1972. It's your show, it's your platform. Let's hear from you.
Okay, come and join us. Let us know what your favourite sweetie is.
Favourite sweetie, yeah.
The world has changed. The world has changed in the modern game, and we've seen a lot of it with the English Premier League, with the VAR situation. We've seen it in Europe as well. Southside, I think our first game was a penalty against, who was it? They gave a penalty away. The boy that left us for Derby, wasn't it? Is that against Leverkusen? Leverkusen, yeah. That was the first interaction we had with VAR. Do you think it's a good thing or a bad thing, Southside?
I thought at first it was going to be a good thing. I think it is good in some situations. Maybe see talk about VAR. See if you watched the game yesterday, West Ham game, the goal that they got and it went to VAR. Now, technically they're saying the boy's offside. It goes to make an attempt for the ball. The boy that goes to take the shot gets his foot to the ball, hits it off the goalkeeper's chest. But I still think with the boy getting involved at that point, he's interfering with play, and yet they make the goal stand. And I think that probably frustrates a lot of people when they're watching it. I think if it's interpreted properly, it works. But it's the way they word it as well, a clear and obvious error and stuff. And I think there's some things that they give handballs for in Europe a lot quicker than they do for what I've seen what they do in the Premiership. In fact, if you think, that's what I think anyway.
You think it's no getting rid of the clear and obvious errors then?
Well, if you take your studies, for instance, he's surely interfering with play. See, if he doesn't touch the ball, right, as they said, and the goal, there's another phase, and then they give the goal. So anybody that's seen it will remember it. Now, what happens then if the goalkeeper, who's seen him come in, obviously, hits him and brings him down? Are they going to say then that that's a penalty? Because he's technically offside, as I've showed, before he makes a run towards the ball. So I think it's how they interpret it, Ox, and to me it seems to be when a goal's scored they go back to see where they can sort of chop it off at times. But so I think it's how he use it. The one thing that I would hope the clubs up here would maybe stipulate, and how they're going to do VAR up here if it ever, when it comes in, is that the referee goes and looks at the incident, and also they should play it in real time. Because every time I've watched it, when they show you, they sort of slow it down and then the foot's on the guy's ankle. But you know yourself, in a split second, you could dive in, and it isn't intentional as it looks, as when you freeze it and you've actually made contact on his ankle. So I think there's things like that you must probably see the incident in the real-time quickness of it, and then maybe slow it down whatever you want. And I think the referee at all times, because he's refereeing the game, he's the guy that should make the decision as far as I'm concerned.
All right, okay. Any thoughts? I'll go to Jaffa and then we'll go to Jimmy. Go on, Jaffa.
Similar, Ox, to Southside. I think I've seen a number of instances where you wouldn't even have spotted the handball, for example, and the balls come into the box that quick. I think I saw a game in the English Premier League a few weeks back. I can't remember. It may have been Leicester, and someone in the ball came into the box that quick and it hit the guy's hand and it went to VAR and it was a penalty, and it was a clear penalty. And then I think, like Southside's explaining, I saw that incident yesterday and I know exactly what he's talking about. There was also another one as well over the weekend there where I think it was maybe also in the West Ham game where the guy was like on. I mean, he was given his offside, but honestly, Ox, it was like right on line. The guy was coming back from the phase. He would have been offside. There was a player walking back. The ball was played forward. The defender and the forward are on line. And I mean, like, you would have to, like, almost give me a magnifying glass. And the forward's toe, like, his big toe was ahead, and it was offside. And I get it. Technically, that's correct. It is offside. But it's very clinical. It has got its benefits. I think, in essence, longer term, I think VAR's a good thing, personally, because I still think there's a lot of pulling at shots, guys, where you just don't see stuff like that. And unless, VAR goes and looks at it again, I still think it's good. I actually think it adds to a wee bit of drama in the games as well, if the truth be told. But like you, I remember the game was sitting in the stands the night it was used against us. I never even saw that handball. I'm trying to think of the lad's name that handballed it that night. He ended up going up the park and scoring a goal after it against Leverkusen for us. He handballed it and then he scored a goal for us, didn't he?
What's his name again? The big boy, the centre defender. Jesus, that's terrible, wasn't it?
The boy he left for, was it Ipswich or Derby he went to?
He went to Ipswich eventually, been on loan at Derby, and I can't remember his name. That's terrible.
Edmondson.
Edmondson, well done, Bob G. I knew you were on this show for a reason. We'll speak to Bob G in a minute. He's always good at throwing his voice. We'll go to Jimmy about get his thoughts on VAR. Jimmy? Oh, you with us, Jim? Oh, well, it's evening, Bob G.
Good evening, everyone. How are we all doing tonight? Okay. I presume the discussion is about VAR.
Well, just come on to it, mate. So you've timed it perfectly if you've got a follow.
Right. Well, I've said it all the weeks, and you've heard me say it, Ox, Rudge, all the rest of the guys. I'm not a fan of it at all. I just believe in letting the referee and the official referee and officiate the game, like it's always been.
Mm-hmm.
Like it says here, was it Stevie that said there that he feels it's got its advantages and disadvantages. That's better, but no, I'm not a fan of it. I'd rather just let the referee officiate the game, and that's it. His decision. What he says goes, like it's always been. But hey ho, it's here to stay, I believe.
So how does that go yesterday or at the weekend where some stadiums have got it and some haven't in the same competition? Surely there should be consistency in a competition, huh?
Aye, there should have been, mate. It was only getting reviewed for at Premiership grounds. There was a couple of goals seen the highlights of the FA Cup. There was a couple probably borderline, and they probably would have been ruled possibly off for VAR, but because the Gruns were in the first and second division or whatever, they couldn't review it. So, it doesn't seem fair in the competition, does it?
No.
Throughout the thing, but it's something we'll need to get used to. And saying that, if it'd been in a while ago, there'd been a few Old Firm games, gone with VAR and other games, but it's. I just want the referee to go and look at it. I just think that's fundamental. He's refereeing the game. He made the decision, and if it's something that he's not saw and they can highlight it, then he can go and look at it. And he's seen it in real time. To me, he's maybe made a decision, and then you've got three other guys sitting trying to make a decision. Is it or is it no? And see, the worst one I've ever seen, possibly, Patrick Bamford, when he put his hand forward to say play it into the space, and VAR put him offside. If you remember, they said his horn and his arm was offside because he had raised it to point it for the boy to play it into the space that he wanted it in. So, I mean, that's how ridiculous it can get sometimes.
Anyway, Bob, do you have what's on your mind, mate?
Just to see if there's any more developments about your great club on the transfer front this window. Anybody heard anything, or has anything happened?
No, we get really talking about VAR. We also talked about sweeties. We talked about all sorts of things.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing's happened. Giovanni van Bronckhorst put a good interview today, saying that he's quietly confident the way things are going, Jaffer, didn't he?
He does, he says he's happy, they've all had a good rest. Good to be back, Bob G. The players are in good fettle. He's looking forward to the second half of the season. enjoying being back in the city. He says he seems very contented, I have to say. Obviously, no discussion on transfers or anything like that. So, as of this time next week, we'll be able to discuss. We'll be able to discuss his press conference, because this time next week, at least they'll have had a press conference. So, no doubt there'll be a few questions asked by the boys in the fan media about who's coming in and possibility, of any additions to the squad. But just get us up for the game. But we've got a big game next week, and that's the most important thing.
Huge game next week. Absolutely huge. I can't wait for it. As I'm sitting here chatting at the bit, just like everybody else, just to see the jersey again. And we'll roll on next. When is it we play next Monday? Tuesday. Next Tuesday we play. Aye. Well, I just can't wait for the Rangers to come back. We're all far now.
I'm no one that would take delight out of other people's misfortunes, but I would laugh outside if the crowds were allowed back in Tuesday.
Aye. Yeah. They're playing on Monday, aren't they?
You might not be far off in that assessment too.
We'll have to wait and see.
According to what we're hearing today, I mean, she seems quite content to sit with the status quo at the moment. So, but I think she's going to be forced for to change situations. If other football is one of them or no, well, we'll just have to wait and see. But you might not be far away with that assessment.
How I would laugh.
Oh, we're all are.
We'll see where it takes us, but as we said, big game next week. We'll know that Joe Aribo. We'll see. Everybody should hopefully be fit. You never know. Maybe we'll find good news on Ryan Jack. Maybe Kemar Roof as well, Southside.
Aye, well, that's what we're looking for, a wee bit of...
Liam Balogun, and obviously Big Highlander as well.
Aye, that's the sort of news we're looking for to come from the manager, see if they're back in training and maybe get a chance of playing sometime. I don't think you'll see like a Ryan Jack. But I don't even think if Balogun's fit, depending on how many days training he's had, I think we'll stick to the back four and the goalkeeper that we've had, unless he's got a lot more training time. He possibly might bring him in, Balogun. But apart from that, it's been good to hear good progress and positive news on Highlander and Ryan Jack going forward, mate. It'd be good to hear that.
Jaffa, and then Jimmy, you back with us, Jimmy?
Sorry, Ox is away answering a call in nature,
No problem.
I was making a cup of tea for the wife.
Oh, that's all right, mate.
It's a great point, that, Ox. Getting Roof back, that gives us more choices and more options up front. Having Roof back, Sakala up there as well. He's certainly got a few options. I mean, I know the last sort of 3 games before the shutdown, he changed it about a bit. He had Hadji in, and then he had Sakala in, and then he had Hadji out, and then he had Arfield in for the 3 matches between Hearts, St Johnstone and St Mirren. He changed that sort of front 3, if you want, or front 5. So, with Aribo being out, there's still plenty of choices in there for us and plenty of things for him to work on. And as Southside was saying, they're getting Roof back's a great bonus, especially if he's fit. Kemar Roof when he's fit, it's a great thing.
Is he no liable for selection in internationals? Roof, if he's fit.
Did you see? Richard missed that, sorry.
Is he liable to be picked for international team if he's fit?
Well, Jamaicans played pretty much the same time as the Europeans, didn't they? The Americans and that, didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
I think somebody should really have a word in his ear, because that's twice he's come back injured, didn't it?
Indeed, yeah.
By the way, Southside, you mentioned VAR, I believe, I've not seen the details, but there's a big incident happened to the game. It's live on the television now about VAR.
I've not seen it.
I've literally got it on here at the side of me, Ox, and Aston Villa scored a goal, and then honestly, it must have been like 4 minutes later, I'm not exaggerating, they decided to go to VAR, and it was to do with a handball. You would never have seen it. It was exactly just what we were chatting about.
So the game had kicked off again, yeah?
Aye, it was second half, aye.
No, what I mean is they scored the goal, they took centre again, hadn't they?
They took centre, the game started, the game was in full play, and then the commentators were all saying that there was a possible handball and they went to VAR, but it must have been at least 3 to 4 minutes before they actually sorted it all out and got to the bottom of it. It was scary stuff. Rubbish.
Can I come in on the VAR thing, Oxter, just for a second?
Yes, mate.
It's just to say, there's some things that are very obvious, particularly to people that played football. I saw a couple of incidents in Match of the Day where VAR didn't make the decision, now that the referee's a linesman. It was only maybe a yard inside the opposition half, and everybody else was out it. So he was offside, and the ball got through to him, and he ran on, and he went as soon as he touched the ball, which was inside the opposition but penalty box, and they flagged him offside. And I don't see what's the point in that. Why on earth don't they just say you're offside, pal? It's obvious.
Somebody's going to get hurt with that, stupid.
Exactly. It's just nonsense. If there's anything as obvious as offside within a yard, just get him offside. Let a man make his decision. But VAR can always follow up and say, no, you were wrong there, and do the business. But just wrong.
You're talking about that yesterday in the game against Forest and Arsenal. Your big ex-player, Big Worrell. He'd have hooded the guy's jersey, I'm not kidding. He almost pulled it out of his head. Inside the boat, pulled the guy in. Nothing happened. No VAR, nothing. It was a pure blatant penalty kick,
I don't think
there were no VAR at the game, so
that's right. So you've no goal for that's the point. I think if you're going to have it in a competition, Southside, you've got to have it in every ground in the competition.
Aye, well, for the integrity of the cup, innit, for everybody, to be fair, but obviously some of the big runs, they just had no chance to putting it like that in there.
I'm for spreading rumours, but I'm hearing that there's going to be an announcement for VAR from now to the end of the season, and it's only going to be one ground in Scotland.
You mean, was that going to be the Chamber of Secrets then, aye?
Well, I don't know, I wouldn't say, but it's still to be confirmed, but it's going to be one ground as a trial from now to the end of the season. I wonder, what do you think, Jaffa?
Nothing surprises me. Nothing would surprise me. I mean, I heard we had to contact them to see if we could start back up for the winter break next week, to see if we could get the green light off them.
Yes. But we'll see. In fact, it's getting more debate of football. It's the killing of debates outside it.
Like we say, but it's when it works and they implement it right, it's obviously good. But there's a lot of grey areas in it, and it's how Europe. I think in Europe, when you're playing in the Europa League and Champions League, I think they interpret sometimes decisions easy. I think handball they get for quite a lot. Even sometimes when it's done by your side, they're quite inclined to give a handball to the referees when they look at it. Whereas when you look at it sort of in the Premiership, there's some of them sometimes when they don't give it because they're saying your hands are done by your side. It's that thing with a defender, is your hands in an unnatural position. But it's something that's going to come in, and it's how we implement it and why we dictate it, how it's going to be worked in our league. And obviously the one thing I just hope is referees go and look at it, and if they make a decision for me, then at least you've got somebody to say made the actual decision instead of three stooges in a box somewhere or in a van picking out what's right and what's wrong when the referees gave a decision. So that's what I hope for, mate.
Right, VAR, keep it simple, yes or no. Jaffa?
Yes.
Ridgeman?
Oh, yes, for me.
Jimmy?
No.
Bob Chair?
Oh, an absolute no for me.
Southside?
Yes.
Is that a reluctant yes?
Aye, it's done right, it's right. It's just, it's reluctantly, but aye. I want it when it comes in. Because there's a lot of things that might go in our favour that we don't get for referees. So, I think in the long run it'll be a good thing.
Okay, all right, okay. quite interesting. I think you picked that out. That just must have just happened just to show me your mouth.
Aye, it must have, aye. It's just because I've seen a few, because we've not had a chance to get to the games, mate, and you've seen stuff happening and how they're working it. And like Jaffa said, there's some things that you're looking baffled at and thinking, how did they come to that decision? You know? And I just thought the one yesterday, if that boy's not interfering with play and that's a goal, and then I just couldn't work out. I thought, if a goalie brings them down, are you going to give a penalty then? Because they're saying he was offside, but then he didn't interfere with play. It's just bizarre. You know, the referees have went over and looked at it.
Should we take something for the American football, Jaffa, for the people that's at the game, that they have to announce what the decision is, so they at least know? Because you're scratching your head if you're at the game, aren't you?
Do you know some mocks? That's the one thing I would say where they probably could, probably just letting the fans know what's actually how they've came to the decision, or as you say, announce it. Because half the time, if you think back to that game we were chatting about, the little Leverkusen game, honestly, I reckon for about half an hour after that, I'm scratching my head going, what actually happened there? I had no clue what had happened. So yeah, they could certainly, I guess, razzmatazz it up a wee bit and make it, more of a marketing ploy, so that the crowd actually get behind it. I mean, I think they do that at rugby, do they not?
Well, you hear it, and you hear what's happening, don't you?
Yeah, that's all mic'd up at rugby. I mean, you imagine back to that game with Kevin Clancy a couple of years ago. Remember that game at Parkhead and we beat them 2-1 when he done everything in his power to try and give them, I don't know what he was trying to do. He was basically trying to beat us.
He did the ball, put down the goal, and he gave a goal. And
then we'd got a shot pulled in the box 10 minutes later, and he never gave us a penalty. He sent off Morelos. He couldn't wait to get up to Morelos that day to send him off. But imagine Kevin Clancy being mic'd up so we could hear Big Peter Lovell talking to him in his ear, telling him what to do.
Absolutely.
Well, Fox, who's not a cynical guy, but he says VAR's only good when it works in your favour.
I believe it's time. I believe that we've all got to take VAR and make VAR better. That includes all the fans. We've got to make it right. It's probably, if we're going to have something to help the referees and help the teams, because handballs are no right. I don't care what you say. If the ball hits a hand, it's a free kick. Done. Now that I see this unnatural position, there is nothing more unnatural than a centre half standing with his hands at his back, so he can't swing them.
Calls to this number are being screened by BT Call Guardian. Please say your name after the tone, then press hash and wait to be connected.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, Bridge. The referee says, Bridge, you need to take your hands out your shorts. See, that's a natural position.
No, just watch any game, and you'll see the centre halves and the fullbacks when they're in the box. The hand goes right. Some of them, the hand goes right behind the back and facing up the ball. That's unnatural. Got to be able to do something better than that. Not the players, but the authorities need to come up with something. Yeah. How can they help these guys?
The trouble is with any handball, they might get a penalty against them. So people are just walking up and flicking it up onto people's arms now, which is never a penalty.
That's it, exactly.
It's
just utter nonsense, They need to, I don't know how they're going to do it. They need to sit down, all the coaches need to sit down and say, right, this is what we've got to do. And if everybody follows it.
Yeah. The trouble is that a game of football will end up blue ball, end up like America. You'll go at 3 o'clock and the game will not finish till 6 outside.
Well, you see amount of injury time it's getting added on down in England. You're getting things like 9 minutes and all that now. 7 minutes of injury time because of VAR in some of the games, But that mob up East End, when they've got a goal against us, Bridge, when the handball and Edward, when Clancy gave them it, that was. You would have seen that on a VAR decision. But at the end of the day, it's something that's going to come in. You just hope that it's implemented properly and we're all playing for they give you the rules and how they're interpreting it and what they're looking at, and then we know. But some decisions, like you say, handballs, when you're just coming up to a defender and you're just hitting it off them, and then you're straight away claiming for a penalty. I think it's better for players that simulation. That's what I think. I mean, we gave a penalty the other week or a week before in that game, and the boy was already hitting the deck before, and then the VAR gave the penalty, you know, and you're thinking, that's clear simulation, you know. I think that wee Boyle at Hibs, he's been caught a few times, no, just here, but he'd be caught all day long on VAR, you know, and things like that. Certain players go looking for it, and it cuts that out, hopefully, you know.
And the guy for the Far East, that plays with a certain team there.
100%.
He got a penalty when the ball was named play.
He's like a sniper. He just drops. He just takes the deck.
Right, okay, can I ask William if he come on up, just try to get through this. We can't get you in, mate, because you've got your phone in. We'll sort you back out again. Phone in, William, please. You want us to come back in? That's the referee who's going to use his phone. He's a ref. There you go. Get a referee's point of view, Bridgman. Don't you start arguing with him, Bridgman. You know.
No, that's all right. I stopped arguing with referees years ago.
Surprised with the ability to get through the system.
Is he a football referee?
William's a football referee. Bridgman. Yeah.
I wasn't a football referee, no.
He wasn't a football referee, but he tried to referee the games with centre half.
Hello.
Hello, William. How you doing?
Hello, Alex. How are you? Happy New Year to everybody.
Happy New Year, William.
Happy New Year, William.
Talking about VAR. VAR, in my opinion, VAR is an absolute farce.
There you go.
An absolute farce. I'm watching this Man United game, and I've seen a big decision here. As I think Southside was saying, it took him about 5 minutes. I think the VAR has been forced on the game by TV companies, Sky, BT, and these pay-per-view companies around the world. And they're going to start, these big delays that they're having, they'll start filling them in with adverts. That's what happens. And they'll make millions at the adverts. And the games will last like 2.5 hours. I mean, some of these VAR decisions are an absolute disgrace. I saw the one yesterday in the West Ham game. It was obviously offside. I couldn't believe when they come back and they gave the goal. Couldn't believe it.
Should that goal stood tonight, or was it the right decision?
I think they've given for offside. I know that Southside said he thought it was handball, but I noticed the referee he restarted with an indirect free kick, and I noticed he put his hand up after he did the signal for the, you know how they do the signal for the screen, and then he put his hand up, and that means indirect free kick. So I take it for that they've done him for offside. I think the ball came off his knee, but his hand was quite close, and I think they're saying he was offside. I never had the sound up because I'm listening to the show, but I've got the game on, you know. But I've seen so many, they're picking and choosing when they're going to use the VAR, and even sometimes, like yesterday, when they're using it, they're making a mess of it. I don't think the referees like it. I don't think they want it, because you've got referees sitting in a studio somewhere and they're having to criticise their colleagues, and they don't like that. They absolutely don't like that.
Well,
yes, mate.
Aye, William's 100% right. When you listen to some of them on the commentary on Sky, they tend not want to go against the referee, William, don't they? But
Dermot Gallagher, he's terrible.
See when you looked at that one,
this is where I feel sorry for the referee. That's what he says.
Aye, see when you looked at that instance yesterday, William, right? See when Bowen goes across to go for the ball. See if that referee see if the goalkeeper touches him and brings him down. Are they actually going to say that that's a penalty?
Aye.
That's what I couldn't get, because he's offside. You know,
he was obviously offside. Aye. I could not believe that they gave that goal. I'm sitting.
No, neither could I.
And it's happening all the time in this VAR.
That's what makes a mockery of VAR. I think the ref should have went and looked at it and checked it for himself. I think if we implement it up here, that's something that the club should say. Don't want three stooges making a decision, or we'll probably not be able to afford three. You know, we'll probably end up with one or two. But whatever way we go ahead with it.
That's how I think it's been forced on it with Sky and BT and all these big companies, because They're spending hours now talking about VAR decisions. They're filling their schedules. People are paying pay-per-view channels, and they're sitting listening to Dermot Gallagher and that idiot, what do you call him, Stephen Ward, that used to play with Liverpool. He's a complete lunatic.
Well,
he's terrible.
Sorry, you don't think it's VAR's fault? You don't think it's more them? It's administering VAR that's the problem.
Aye, that's it. They're not administering it properly. I mean, I think you were saying about Worrell yesterday pulling the guy's jersey.
That's right.
Why is VAR not stepping in and saying that's a penalty?
They didn't have VAR.
They didn't have
VAR was recovering the game.
They're picking and choosing when they're going to use it and when they're not going to use it.
Well,
I mean, if we're sitting watching the game, we can obviously see an obvious penalty. Why is the VAR man not saying to the referee, blow the whistle, it's a penalty?
I think they've only got VAR, one at a time, I think they've only got VAR, William, at the Premiership ground. Yeah.
But true enough, that was Nottingham Forest, that's right enough. That was a terrible game. Was that not the worst game you ever saw in your life?
No, terrible. But the one with Warren was definitely a blatant penalty kick.
He nearly had his shirt off his back.
That's right. The wee woman up the Stephanie, we even saw it.
But I mean, we're seeing these things all the time. And okay, there wasn't VAR on that yesterday, but games with VAR, we're seeing it all the time. And they're pick and choose when they use the VAR.
But excuse me, William.
Yes.
The referee and the two linesmen never saw either.
No, that's right.
So you can't just blame VAR.
What are they looking at?
That's right.
I mean, the referee, there's supposed to be recommended positions for the referee to be in when the ball's in a certain area, when the play's in a certain area, and that's so he can see the big picture, so he can see these things.
Don't mention picture, we'll think you're talking about Bridgeman's telly.
The big picture.
What a shocker.
Cinematic.
Bye. What else is on your mind, William?
It was really that. I heard you talking about the VAR. I mean, I listen to the show every night. I could have phoned in a few times, but generally what happens is somebody will say what you were going to say, and that's how I don't phone in as much. I listen every night. But VR, that's right up my street because I think it's just terrible. And I think it's the TV companies, they're looking to shove adverts into these delays and make a fortune out of it. And they'll kill the game. Because there'll be too many delays and all these bloody... Do any of you watch that African channel? They show the English Premier games. Super Sport it's called.
No.
Oh, they're unbelievable.
I've seen it, William.
I've got an app and I can watch that, sometimes watch English Premier games. And what happens is when the ball goes out for a throw-in, the picture shrinks to about a third, and you get a big advert down the side of the page, down the side of the picture, and a big advert along the bottom of the picture, even just going out for the throw-in. It's a nightmare. And I'm thinking that's what we'll be getting with this VAR. They'll start putting that in.
We were going to get adverts to start every time Jaffa spoke. We thought that was the way to go.
Out of curiosity, William, what were the adverts for?
Oh, it's all African stuff. It was a lot of different car companies and stuff, but because it's an African channel, although it's they've got a studio in London. You've got the likes of Glenn Hoddle and somebody else who are sort of commentating in the game. You've got English commentators. BBC. But at half time, it's all African adverts.
Would that be a Ford Puma?
And they're off.
Aye. I was just going to ask, did Ali McCoist no appear on that channel, no?
Well, he's everywhere else, isn't he?
Aye.
He was on the Arsenal game yesterday.
Aye.
He was talking rubbish.
Oh,
he was talking rubbish.
I heard he's on the Alan Titmar show next year.
He's everywhere else, isn't he? Him and Jermaine Defoe. I see Defoe was on as well yesterday.
I don't think
Jermaine Defoe was on.
I don't think we'll see Defoe in the park for us again, do you, Jaffa?
No, I think that's that. I think that love affair's over, isn't it? I'm not sure what he's. Obviously, I don't think he's doing anything as far as on the training ground goes, is he?
That was one of the first things Joe done, wasn't it? He's just a player now.
Yep.
Yeah, just a player. Southside, I don't think we'll see him. Do you?
No. I heard Big Jimmy on the other night, and I always respect Jimmy and that, but I thought he was a great player in his day, and I think I agree possibly a bit of a pals act, but I still think he scored some goals for us. I think maybe you look at the time he came in and that Alfie seemed to calm down a bit, and I think he was probably good for some of the strikers and some of the youth academy boys that are coming through just to look up to somebody. I think he's scored over 100 goals in the Premiership, played for the highest level with England at times, and that up against all good strikers in his day. So I think he was a top player. But no, I don't think he'll feature for us going forward now, and he'll certainly not be at our club at the end of the season, I wouldn't think.
Oh, Bridgeman?
Yeah, and sadly, because I thought he was a tremendous addition. And some of the goals he scored, that one over his shoulder, and he just slapped, oh my God almighty. I mean, it was just some absolutely world-class goals. Great to see him when he was on form. Marvellous to see. Obviously, age takes its toll, so I think it wouldn't be, I agree with Jefferson. Maybe by the end of the season, he may no longer be there. But so that'll be a pity. I quite fancied him being a coach, but then again, I do that with quite a lot of people. So.
I don't think that's the way to go. I think when you finish, you go and you find your red wine. If you're good, you come back, mate.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, good point.
Yeah, it's like we gave a coaching job to Alan McGregor, Stephen Davis, who are legends with the club. Then Jermaine Defoe as a striking coach. The manager's got to pick his own people. But Bob Jerry, I don't think we'll see him playing for us. I think that ship has sailed now.
That's exactly what I thought yesterday when I seen him. I says, yeah, we'll not see Jermaine Defoe again in a Rangers shirt. And thinking about it, I mean, I believe he's on quite a hefty wage, isn't he? For being a coaching position or whatever. No, he's no coaching anymore. He's just part of the squad.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to free up quite a hefty wage, and which is to our advantage. I got some younger guy in. That's the way forward now. Jermaine Defoe, as you say, been great, been brilliant, done it at all levels, but time to move the ban on. Simple as that.
Aye.
That's still been offensive to us. Time to move on. As you say, time takes its toll on Aberdeen. It's taking its time on Jermaine Defoe. But we'll not forget.
He's not been ways a long time, but he'll always be welcome back at the club, Jimmy.
Also, he said he loved the club. And I believe him. Fair play to the man.
And I think he's been good for the club. I think he's brought a wee bit of professionalism to it, help the younger guys. No, you can't criticise the club. He's never let us down anyway.
No.
It's not his fault he's not getting a game. They just know in the plans at the moment. And he'll know himself it's time to go. I don't think Defoe hanging looking for a wage. I don't think that'll be the case with him. I think he got too much pride. I think he'll move rather than be pushed,
Signs of time waiting for no man. Billy, yeah.
I think I'm not surprised he was pushed out of the coaching role because I remember when Advocat came into Rangers, a wee pal of mine was a youth coach at Rangers, and he just got pushed to the side because the Dutch just like to work with the Dutch. They respect their own coaching, and he just got pushed to the side. I think Defoe. I think I'd love to know how many games he's played for us.
Well, I'll tell you, mate. If you give me 1 second, I'll tell you. I think it makes sense. Outside the managers have their own coaching staff, haven't they?
Yeah, that's what normally happens, isn't it? Managers bring their own people that they know and trust or have worked with in the past, and they might bring in a promising sort of coach that they know. Defoe done a job for when he came in, scored goals and some late goals in games when he came on as a sub. You just had a feeling that if a ball dropped him, he would score. But the goal you were talking about, Bridge, I think it was the one against Dunfermline when Tav played the ball and he watched it come right out of his shoulder and he just basically passed it into the net, and it was
Livingston, mate.
Livingston. Livingston. It was a tremendous. I think that was his 300th goal as well, wasn't it? He's had a great career. We just got him at the tail end of his career. But he contributed in games that he participated in. There were some games he came in and he didn't look so good.
32 starts, Jaffa. 32 starts. Yeah.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, less than 32 starts, obviously 42 games as sub, which most of them would be the last few minutes. He's got 32 goals.
Aye.
Yeah.
He's a goal scorer.
That's a good record.
Surprised.
Good average.
Aye. But listen, I think the sands of time and wait for no man. Yeah, and as much as you liked, you've made the four. You have to move on at some time, Bridget.
Absolutely, pal. And I don't want Defoe to move. I think he's been a pleasant player for us, and he's done very, very well, and he scored some great goals and assisted with great goals. So I was delighted with him. I don't have a problem with him. Another season at him, he'd do very well with him. But I'm not stupid, you know. The manager's going to pick what the manager wants, and I'm afraid my favourites may disappear. Defoe and Davis may not be with us next season. Let's put it that way.
Well, I hope Giovanni keeps Davis as a coach.
No, I said the same thing, but as it was pointed out about 5 minutes ago, you kind of keep bringing coaches in because the manager will want his own coaches, you know.
So, I appreciate that, but he knows Davis for his playing days, you know.
Absolutely.
Well, he knows he's a favourite with the fans. Obviously, Davis would be great for the boys, you know what I mean? He would bring them on leaps and bounds because he's got a brilliant football brain, you know. We've got some dummies running that academy, in my opinion. Some of them just repeat the same rhetoric all the time. Doesn't matter. It's like a parrot. I think Davis would bring a wee bit more acumen to the job.
Wouldn't argue with you, Paul. Wouldn't argue with you.
I love Stephen Davis, but I think he's going to go in there in his stripes outside then, Jaffa.
Nah, there's no room for sentiment. I mean, I heard Bridge saying before, keep him as a coach or something, and like we touched on, the Dutch probably like to work with the Dutch and that. And even if he did, I still think Stephen Davis needs to go out and see what he wants to do. He might want to go and try and continue playing somewhere another season or two. You don't know. He might have aspirations to go into media or do a bit of coaching. But I think he should go there in his stripes somewhere else, and in time, if Stephen Davis does well at a club or two, then it's something that we could maybe look at going forward. And I think if he was doing well in management and we came calling for him, I think he might be obviously becoming managers. But nah, Alan McGregor's another one. I think possibly another year's contract if he feels as if he could do it. But coaches who could be looking at a younger goalkeeper or maybe promoting somebody else, you know, he might not get that extra year. Alan McGregor, Balogun's another one. I think we've got to freshen the team. I think we had a rebuild even if Gerrard had been there this season, and the fact that he's no Gio will have the rebuild that was obviously having to be done anyway come the summer, so he'll get his own players. We need a young vibrant team, fresh legs, plenty of energy at the right age, a couple of prospects and a couple of seasoned players that we know can come right in and enhance the first team. And the boy James Sands, I think, will come in time and get a lot of game time. But so that's what we're looking at going forward. If you're at a certain age, I think we've got to look, as much as you've done well for Glasgow Rangers, you've been paid handsomely, you've played at your club that you love. But when the time comes, you have to move on, then you have to move on.
Do you see what he done there, Jaffa? Sands of time. I done this. He didn't even know he done it.
Of course I knew I'd done it, you.
I agree, Southside, wholeheartedly with that statement, pal. I think Stephen Davis and the other seasoned pros there, McGregor and stuff, need to go and find out what they want to do with the latter part of their career. As you say, Stephen Davis, I think his family maybe still down south, so he might want to go down to the lower leagues in England and still continue playing and play for Northern Ireland and do his thing. Alan McGregor, you know, if they want to remain in football, they've got to go away and find what it is they want to do within football and the latter part of their life. the middle age area, and whether it's coaching's a thing for them. And the guys that have come into our team, the Van Bronckhorst era, along with Ron Mackay and Roy Mackay rather, and that boy Voss from Ajax and the other coaches that are there, I think they'll want to expand that. And obviously you heard Giovanni today talking about some of the players that are in the academy. Never mind the players that are in the academy. We've got some brilliant young players on our team, and those guys will be itching to get involved with them and bring them on and take them hopefully to the next level, whether it be Yanis Hadji or Calvin Bassey, or they really want to spend some time with them on the training pitch and enhance their game and bring their game on and smooth it out and make them better footballers for Glasgow Rangers primarily, before anything else. And as Southside also said, they'll get a couple of real prospects, and I'm sure they'll have their eyes on some people just now as we speak, and hopefully take Rangers on to the next level, because if we get this league win, we've got Champions League football to look forward to, and the team will need an investment put into it, and I'm sure Giovanni van Bronckhorst will know that.
All right, just when you've said that, there's a guy, we've talked about different positions, we've talked about different players, we've talked about arguably one of the highest earner about the club is John Lundstrom, Southside, and then Bob Gia. The conundrum is John Lundstrom. How do we solve that?
See, to be honest, it's a lot of media talk and what we've said. He came in a wee while and played. I don't think he's playing in a position that he's played many times before, a sort of deep line midfield role. So, he's down to jail. Does he see him as a player going forward that he could use? Could you use him on the sort of right-hand side in an Arfield role? I don't know. I think he wants to have a winger, mate, and I think he's going to look for a central midfielder, possibly to sit in there. And so going forward, I think he'll probably leave, and I think that's what will happen. We'll probably either loan him or sell him. I don't see him fitting into his sort of team, unless he is a rich Rayner former, gets a chance in a position and he takes it, like Bassey's sort of learned in the position. But Lundstrom, no, I don't see a future for him, to be honest. I think he might see it to the end of the season, because I think he'd like to keep all the sort of squad together going forward. If we don't sell another player, then we're all going to be happy, aren't we, going forward to the end of the season?
Mm-hmm. Do you think you'd be interested in him to down south, mate?
I think there will be a bit of interest, mate. He'll certainly interest a few clubs in the Championship, and maybe lower levels in the Premier League possibly, but certainly in the Championship. I think the boys, probably managers that have worked with him in the past. I think the managers at Middlesbrough into Chris Wilder, is it?
Yeah.
So I've seen a couple of links to that, but you don't know, mate. But he'll be a high earner, and if he's not got a future, then he needs to come off the wage bill and get to somebody that's going to get regular football under us,
Mm-hmm. Bob Gia?
That's a good assessment of the Lundstrom situation. It seems to be a wee bit of an enigma for me. I think you said last week at some point, we were talking about him all, that he had played three or four really good performances, then just seemed to drop back out the team again. I really can't make my mind up about the boy, but we've got a Dutch manager now, and you said 5-10 minutes ago, the Dutch like their own style, and I don't think Lundstrom fits their style, so I just think, they'll all be moved on at the end of the season, and there will be people doing south interest in the boy, but I don't think he's going to make it at Rangers. That's basically what I think about it.
William?
I think Giovanni will have a clear out at the end of the season, because there's quite a lot of players you notice they're not getting a look in, like Lundstrom, Steve Davis. I think it's the players that are not just as fit as the other players.
Different reason for Steve Davis.
They can't do the full training. Full day's training.
I think there's more to Stephen Davis at the moment, mate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Bacuna, the likes of Bacuna. They're not getting a look in at all with Giovanni. And I think that, Simpson, these are the players that I think will get shipped out at the end of the season. I think they're not up to it. I think Stephen Davis, he might do a couple of hours training, maybe 2 days a week. Like Davy Weir, when Davy Weir was in his last days.
I don't think Stephen's been training for a wee while yet, mate. Let's just leave it like that, yeah? People's personal business is a personal business.
I don't know anything about that.
Right, Jimmy, what are we going to do?
I'll leave it up to Van Bronckhorst. It's all that conundrum, but for looking in, I don't think he's got a future at Ibrox now. I think the best way to do is just to punt him, and that's it. Get what he can get. A few bob from him, and move him on his way up the way he's going.
Are we always too quick to make up our mind, Jaffa?
I think when he came in with his reputation, I think we can be as fans, Ox. Aye, there is occasions where you can be you can jump the gun a bit, but I think we saw a bit of Lundstram at the start of the season, and he was a bit all over the place. He got sent off against Malmo, and then he kind of came onto a bit of form. He played about 4, 5, 6 games where he was actually. We were all chatting about him on here. I think we were all saying how well he'd stepped into the Stephen Davis type role, and he was holding that kind of central berth in the midfield. And then obviously everything's happened with Dick Gerrard going, and he's not got a look in since Giovanni van Bronckhorst came in. So I agree with Southside. I'm not sure how John Lundstram's position and how, I'm not really sure what John Lundstram's best position is. I think it's an attacking midfielder. I just think there's better at the club at the moment, Ox. Even the guys in reserve sitting on the bench are probably better. Sakala, Hadji, Arfield. You could argue. I mean, that's what John Lundstram's got to get through before he even gets a start in the team. So, and the wages may well be a problem because from what I've read, he's on substantial money considering what we pay for our club. I don't know whether we sell him and cut our losses, or whether we do a half and half and pay half his salary and let him go out and loan to somebody.
I think Lundstram has been now an enigma. He started off pretty poorly, and then he started out of form. Then he was out for 2 games and then in, and once he got back in again, he was excellent. I think he was man of the match for 4 games in a row or 5 games in a row, and I think he was. That's the form I was wanting to see from him, the type of play. But I don't know whether the manager actually changed and tweaked it or whatever, or maybe he took a wee knock. But he's never been able to get back in again. And when he has come back in, sometimes he's been completely anonymous for big chunks of the game. And that's not the man I want to see. I want to see the guy that was player of the, man of the match, 4 games or 5 games in a row. That's the John Lundstram I want to see play for us. The other John Lundstram can go. He can go anytime at all. Just let him go. If he can't get back to that form, he's no good to us. Not himself.
I'd be interested to see how it pans out. I mean, I know he's a high earner at the club because I was sound him Southside. I'm in your camp. I don't think they ever go to the position that suits him best, yeah?
Nah, I mean, you could get on the panel, nobody really knows his true position, We've not used him in that sort of area. I've seen him the first time he played. I've seen the game at Tranmere. He looked really heavy like that day and that. But I don't think it's always today. But obviously match fitness plays a part. But you need to get a regular game in the team. And he did get a wee run of games where man of the matches, and sometimes they count for nothing. It's who they want to get a picture with. As you've seen me Hadji getting voted man of the match a few weeks ago. So he had a wee bit of form. I just think he's not actually played in the position that he'd probably prefer to play. And going forward, I think there's a few in our team and our squad that's going to have a problem. I think Roof's another one that might not feature too heavily because if Alfie's fit, he'll play centre and he likes to play 2 wide men with a bit of pace. So I don't know what he'll do going forward, but I think there'll be a lot of changes in the summer, mate. That's what I'll be looking for, revamping the team with a bit of freshness, a lot of players with good legs in them, energy, and players that Giovanni knows and trusts and we've been looking at, and hopefully they'll all just gel together come next season. But going forward, mate, I'm just happy with the squad, and if we don't sell anybody, I'll be really, really happy now going forward to the end of the season because we'll win the league with that squad we've got.
Mm-hmm. Well, gentlemen and Bridgeman, we've reached that the time of the evening. Surprise. Listen, Bob Chair, Jimmy, William, thanks for your call, boys.
No problem. Anything.
Man United won, Aston Villa 0, full time.
I was taping that and I was going to watch it after the show, but thanks for that, William.
William, you're a shocker.
Typical referee. I think we should go to that.
I was just too happy to keep it to myself.
It's over to you, Jaffa.
Well, lads, thanks very much for having us on. Really appreciate it, Ox. Thanks for having us on Rangers Radio. I love it on here and talking to all the Bears and all things Glasgow Rangers. It's brilliant.
Southside.
Hi, mate. Thoroughly enjoyed that. And William should know referees don't talk after the game, you know. So, but no, thoroughly enjoyed it, mate. It's been good to get a wee discussion tonight with the Bears. And thoroughly enjoyed it. And good to be on with Bridgeman and Jaffa and yourself, pal.
Over to the bridge.
Oh, what can I say? A marvellous night once again, and much like Southside said, brilliant to be on with Southside and Jaffa, and of course yourself and your team. Been a great night. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Really good. Apart from the non-descriptive criticism of my television, just utterly shocking from all of you. Anyway, can I just say to all the Rangers fans all over the world, and particularly Rangers fans on here and Rangers Radio, according to the figures, 8 sleeps. I've got 8 sleeps and maybe 25 naps in between to play again. Everybody keep it going for the Rangers, because the Rangers need us, and so they do. Keep it going.
And a wee special mention to the lads here on the switchboard. Thank you very much, Dan.
Oh, the boss. Cheers, William. Oh, sorry, Jimmy. Cheers, William. Can I thank all you for taking part tonight, Jimmy? William?
No problem at all.
Cheers, Ox. Thanks for taking my call.
Yeah, no problem, boys. And can I thank Jaffa and Southside for joining us on the show, along with the legend that is Bridgeman, Fox and Old School Blue for doing the technicals, everybody for listening. This has been Rangers Radio. We'll be back tomorrow night between 8 and 10 talking about all things Rangers, but we'll be joined by Port Bear, Young GB, the one and only GFK. Take it away, Old School Blue.